do this thing. Hello, I'm Margaret. This is my first ever, YouTube video where I'm on camera. I've been really inspired by a lot of artists over on YouTube, or over here on YouTube, who've shown off their practice and the stories of, what they're drawing, what's inspiring them, and the daily life of creating and the business side of it, of course. And I don't tend to share a lot in general. I get kind of anxious about sharing my stuff online for various reasons, which I'm sure one day we'll cover. But right now, I really want to share what I'm doing because I know there are people who are interested in what I'm doing, and I think it will just help me tell the stories of my work. Get more comfortable telling the stories of my work and where it comes from and what inspires me and the journey of it, because being an artist is really a journey. Different mediums, different stories, different phases of growing up. Even though I'm 2 years away from 30. But the more I grow older, the more I realize there's always more room to grow. Yeah. So I'm thinking of doing this sort of thing monthly. Just sort of like a monthly roundup of what I've been up to, show you some of my pieces. When I remember to record stuff, I will try and insert recordings of my working. I can't guarantee they'll be very aesthetically pleasing or not look like they were filmed on a potato, but we're gonna make it work and we're gonna see where it goes. I hope you'll join me. We're gonna start with paintings I've done this month. Now, I've done a lot of watercolor in the past, and I do a lot of digital too. And in school, when I was in university, I also took a couple painting classes, and I loved it, but then I never really had room for it, so I stopped painting. But now that I have room and a little corner for painting, I started doing it again, and I love it. I'm slowly getting over the whole okay, you have to clean materials and stuff after, and trying to figure out how to do that nicely. But we're painting, and that's what's important. So this painting, which I'm sure I will show you a fancy shot of, this is sort of what I've been doing. I've been trying to meditate a lot more lately. Actually, over the whole pandemic, I've really learned how to meditate. It's really important for my mental health. I'm really interested in meditating while painting, or meditating and being really mindful while creating. Really purposely setting up a space, light a candle, maybe light some incense, draw a tarot card. I'm sure we'll get into my love for tarot cards at some point. So yeah, and so this painting, an example of that, going into that calm state and then just really trusting my instinct of what's, what colors I'm gonna pick and the strokes and the motion, and just trying to really flow with it. This one was actually really kind of emotionally important because of when I painted it. I had a friend pass away at the beginning of January, and because he's so far away, I couldn't go to his funeral. So at the time the funeral was happening, I sat down and painted and just really set up the space to make room for those feelings, not being able to go to the funeral and stuff. So I really like it. I'm not sure it represents the individual at all, but yeah, I like it. This is another painting that kind of fits into that meditative process. It means something, but I'm not sure I'm ready to share what it means yet. Partially because I don't really know what it means yet, and I guess that's part of the deal when you're really intentional about dropping into a space where you're just creating and not really thinking, in that intuitive space. So I see a lot of different things in it. Maybe you see stuff in it too that might resonate with you. As you can see, yellow. And yeah, just playing with those brush strokes, which I don't usually ever play with. Last one, which is actually the first one. This is the first acrylic painting I made in the studio. I've just had these canvases lying around forever, so I was really, really happy that I dove into it. This is just sort of an intuitive painting. I thought the colors were really interesting, and I just, based on the brushes I have, I was just really having fun with paint strokes. And so this is actually informed the two other pieces I just showed you. Yeah, so see where it goes. Sweet. Welcome to the other side of my studio where I've created a little, I call it a cubby only because this bookshelf makes it kind of feel like it's separated, but it's just the corner of the room. I felt when I was building the studio, I felt very firmly that I should not have table legs here because I love, like, I don't know, doing this, spinning around in a chair. I don't even know if you can see it. Or like getting up close and just not worrying about hitting anything. This is the space where I use watercolors, traditional media, where I hang out, working from home. This is also my office, welcome. I have some art from an exhibition I was part of with Light Gray Art Lab in Minnesota. These are artworks from them, or some of the artworks. I have so many more. It was a great show, great bunch of artists. Some other stuff hanging up here. Well, some stuff that I have actually done this month, which I could show you. This I have footage of. Whoa! I'm sure I'll play it at some point. This is a watercolor I did. It's of a willow tree at a summer camp I used to work at. I'm pretty sure I used both watercolor and gouache along with pencil crayon. I really love that style. I see it all over my Instagram, probably because I love it. There's just something great about the combination of textures and the vibrancy of color you can get from a pencil crayon or pastel or oil pastels on top of watercolor itself. So I'm really looking forward to playing with it more since I have so many pencil crayons I need to use. Yeah, and I've been trying to paint this particular scene for a while. This is from a reference photo. I just had fun with the colors. This might show up more as I try and like figure out how to like perfectly encapsulate the story behind this place. I'm one of those artists that can't do more than one thing for too long. I always like to do a million things. I do photography, digital art, graphic design, painting, watercolor, bundle that all up into illustration. So weaving is something I learned during the pandemic. So this is something I weaved in a weekend. I made a little weaving board. I got this amazing hand-dyed yarn from a friend of mine. I'll put her information up too. This dyed like sodalite, like the crystal. And I just love the blues and oranges and the browns and the little hints of white. I made this little water scene. This is more supposed to be the moon. It looks more like a cloud, so I've tried to put like little subtle reflections in there. I guess it's a little tapestry. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. I like that I made it, and it kept me focused for a little bit, which is fun. Other than that, I've been drawing in my sketchbook a lot lately. When you go through an art block, I hear this advice a lot, and I think it works for me, is you just need to keep your hand moving. And sometimes that means like a million scribbles and making random colors on paper, and I'll show you what I made with this. Or doodling, just doing some like room studies. Oh, this is a good example of like more doodling. I think I was watching TV or something. Just hanging out and with a marker. I have a brush pen that I love. And just doodling, just scrolling on Pinterest, just drawing whatever came up. Stuff like that, stuff I'm feeling. This one's my favorite. I sat down and did a bunch of studies of birds. So there's some peregrines in there, there's some tropical birds, just a bit of everything. And yeah, that was really fun. Stuff like this, like I was taking notes and I was listening to something, so I just was going with it. I started this sketchbook recently. It was a Christmas present. And actually it's from Indigo, and I actually have 2 other ones. I'll point them out on my bookshelf. It's cheap in the sense that it's not like a moleskin, which is something I used a lot more. And it has like really nice paper and stuff. This is definitely like a rough drawing paper. I wouldn't do too much painting in here. Like I did a little bit of watercolor, but the paper is crinkly, which is fine for my needs because it's more just a space for ideas and playing and experimenting. I have nicer paper if I want to do something like I did with the willow tree. What I'm trying to say, it's a relatively cheap sketchbook, but I find it's like a great size, both like this way and also like there's just enough pages to put in like a good amount of stuff in here. Yeah, so that's what I'm drawing out of. I try not to start more than one sketchbook until I've finished one. Lately, it's been a bit harder to follow that. Oh, I said I would show you what I did with all those paper cutouts. I was watching something on Netflix and was watercoloring paper and like lots of bright colors, and then on the back I would draw silhouettes of birds, and then I painstakingly cut them out. I'm really glad I didn't get a blister, but I got close. And I cut out birds, put that there. And it was fun because I didn't know what silhouette was going over what color. I had all these beautifully colored birds in really surprising ways. They're sort of Raven-esque. That's a theme in my work you might know or notice. Just put them in a frame and I can take them out and hang them up later. It's not glued down or anything, it's just kind of pressure fit. So right now it just sits over on a little pedestal over there, just to bring in some color. I'm looking forward to using this space a lot more. Make it my little haven for drawing and